Friends, hear me out. Power gets a bad rap, and that's because most people mistake noise for strength. The world tells us that volume is courage, that anger is authority, and that being loud makes you a leader. But what's the truth? Real power is quiet, it's surgical, and it's almost always misunderstood. Today, I'm giving you the rules that separate the men who actually get things done from those who just perform for an audience. Learn them, practice them, become the kind of man whose very presence creates order and calm. People are often afraid of power because history is filled with examples of power being abused. That fear morphs into suspicion, and that suspicion makes people defensive, loud, and ultimately small. But power itself isn't good or evil, it's a neutral tool. Think about nature. You have prey and you have predators. A predator doesn't shout, "Here I come." It doesn't announce its arrival. It silently creates conditions where the prey simply cannot ignore its presence. That's the fundamental difference between a man who desperately seeks approval and a man who commands respect. Your goal is to be the predator in the room, not by harming anyone, but by shaping the environment so that your mission, your purpose, is achieved. Let's dive into the strategies that will help you do just that. Strategy number 1. Say less than necessary. Every word you speak is like ammunition. If you waste it, you reveal your position and your intentions. Why does this work so well? Because silence creates curiosity. People wonder what you're thinking. Concise, deliberate speech signals that you are in complete control of yourself and the situation. Most people confuse talking with leading. They fill the air with excuses, half-baked opinions, and pointless stories. Every single one of those filler words drains their authority. Picture this. You're in a meeting and 3 people are arguing, each trying to be the loudest. The loudest one might capture everyone's attention for a moment, but then a calm, quiet man speaks up. He summarizes the entire problem in a single, clear sentence and offers one direct solution. Suddenly, everyone nods. Everyone agrees. He didn't dominate the conversation. He clarified it, and people will always follow clarity. So, before you open your mouth, ask yourself this one simple question. Does this move the mission forward? If the answer is no, stay quiet. When you do speak, use short, decisive sentences. Lower your tone just slightly. Let the pauses between your words do the heavy lifting. As the scripture says, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. True strength in communication begins with restraint. Strategy number 2, avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. Your associations, the people you surround yourself with, literally shape your capacity for success. People act like emotional gravity wells. If you surround yourself with heavy, negative energy, your own momentum will slow to a crawl. Negativity is incredibly contagious. When you spend your time with constant complainers, you are training your brain to see only scarcity, fear, and excuses. You stop looking for opportunities. Powerful men are masters of conserving their energy, and they do this by carefully curating their inner circle. I knew an ambitious guy who launched a startup. He made the mistake of bringing a perpetually negative friend onto his team. Slowly but surely, the company's momentum died. Every meeting derailed into a session of blaming others and complaining about problems. The turnaround only happened when he finally let that person go and replaced him with a problem solver. Someone whose first question was always, "Okay, what's the next step?" Take a moment and audit the top 5 people you interact with most. Are they an energy gain or an energy drain? You have to be ruthless about trimming the drainers from your life. Create a simple 2-question filter for any new connections you make. First, do they create solutions? Second, do they embody discipline? If not, keep those relationships casual. Make it a routine. Spend just 10 minutes each week unfollowing or distancing yourself from one negative influence. It's a small action that pays compound interest for the rest of your life. Strategy number 3, Use absence to increase respect and value. This is about the economics of presence. Scarcity increases value. If you're always there, always available, always present without a clear purpose, you become disposable. Constant availability makes you cheap. A man who strategically disappears for a short time forces others to recognize his value and creates the space needed for respect to grow. Think of it as strategic invisibility. An influencer who posts 5 times a day, flooding feeds with mediocre content, quickly loses impact, but another one might post only twice a week. With each post being carefully crafted and full of value, that person gains far more engagement because their presence feels intentional and significant. The same principle applies to you in your daily life. You don't have to reply immediately to every text, email, or demand. Learn to delay with dignity. Make being gone a tool in your toolbox. This could be a short sabbatical from a project, a quiet week where you're less reachable, or a limited window of availability. But here's the crucial part. When you return, you must bring value. Never return just for the sake of being present again. Absence without bringing back value just looks like abandonment. Always tie your disappearance to a higher return. Whether it's a new skill you've learned, a tangible result you've achieved, or a renewed sense of purpose and energy. 4. Reward self-approval over external praise. At night before you sleep, ask one question: did I honor my standards? If the answer is yes, rest like a king. If it's no, adjust tomorrow and rise again. Now repeat after me. I don't train for looks. I train for war. I don't pray for blessings. I pray for strength, because strength attracts what weakness begs for. If you want the full frameworks, the daily routines, templates, and drills, comment blueprint below and I'll drop them. Subscribe, share. Stay disciplined. This is king-level mindset. Kings don't beg. Kings don't bow. Kings build in silence and move the world in action.